How's it going, everybody? And I'm going to show you something that I built. If you guys need a rock guard, if you're going to be pulling a camper, an RV, you know, utility trailer with some nice equipment on it, or whatever it might be, you're going to have gravel come off of your wheels and come back and actually put dents in whatever you're carrying. And you're going to need something to keep those rocks from doing damage to what you're towing. And I built this. It is a rock guard, DIY rock guard. And I'm going to take you through the process. I didn't have enough time to actually video me making this. I've been extremely busy, but I've got a couple other things on this truck that I'm going to show you today as well. I put in an auxiliary fuel tank, and I'm going to go ahead and run you through the process of just how I put it in there. Not going to give you all the details, but I am going to give you a lot of information that you can build something like this for yourself at home and for really not a whole lot of money. I've got about $80–90 in this here, and so let me show you what I got. First of all, the framing is going to be, I built it out of this 1-inch steel tube. It is 1/8 diameter thick on the outside edge of this. And don't go to Home Depot or Menards or Lowe's or something to buy something like this. Try to find you a metal shop, because you're just going to, you know, pay more for it at one of those stores, because they're just buying it from a major company and then upcharging it. So go to a supplier that actually sells all kinds of steel, and you'll get it for basically cost, and it will make this project even cheaper. So let me show you what I did here. All right, so it's about 80 inches wide, and what I did was on the wheel right here, I just laid a 2x4 out. I kind of put it from here to the top side corner and let the excess hang out. Then that way I knew that the 2x4 represented the very outside edge of this tire, especially if you've got some aftermarket oversized tires, which I do. I want to make sure that this is covered all the way out to the outside edge of those tires so I don't do any damage, okay? And I did the same on this side. Now, let's check this out. So this is actually 3 mud flaps. I will put the link down in the description. I bought these off of Amazon. They're not rubber, they're actually a thicker plastic, which I kind of like, and it has a little bit of a texture to it, which is kind of cool too. Now, you can buy these online. They run anywhere from, I don't know, $250 to $300 plus, and you can get it, and it'll be basically one long river or you know, different material all the way across. All I did was I just had to cut down the 3 and actually put in measured out and spaced the little short piece, and then I took some black, that is actually galvanized metal, that I actually painted it with a black epoxy paint, and then put some nice pop rivets in there. The bolts are all stainless steel. I like the look of stainless, and I know it won't start rusting, kind of looking bad, so I went with stainless steel. You don't have to use stainless, it'll actually cut down the price for you. And then I got some big turnbuckles here on the end, and I'm going to set the camera down, and I'm going to go ahead and hook this thing up and kind of show you just how long it takes. It's really, really simple. But let me show you this here while I got it. So let me flip this over so you guys can see the back side. So this is going to be the back side of it. And as you can see, I just drilled through that square stock and then mounted the hardware and actually bolted the mud flap to there. This is your big, these are aluminum turnbuckles, and I went with aluminum because I just didn't want them to rust, and they'll be just fine. Got a couple of, whatever you call these things, links, screw together links, and that's really good because that way you don't have to worry about it coming off going down the road. And then got a couple eye bolts on each side. And did the same thing right here, okay? So it's real simple. These just screw up, and then once you get this attached, then you can take your turnbuckle and actually make the adjustments and get it nice and tight. That way it's not flopping around underneath your truck, and it'll be nice and safe. So let me take you underneath and show you what I got. All right, so underneath, what I did was I took an eye bolt, and there was actually a hole on the passenger side that I just used. I just stuck it through and put a double nut on it and then tightened it up, and it's basically facing hang down. That way I can actually hang that on. Here's your tailgate. This is your back lip of your bed right here. So it's mounted on the very back, but not too far to where it's going to interfere with your hitch. Okay, now you your hitch here, I've got that 1-inch piece is going to slide right in through here and hook up to the other side, and it actually pulls up tight right against the bottom of this lip right here on your hitch, and it does on both sides. That way you've got a nice firm connection, and it's actually holding it nice and tight. Now, there was not enough room right here to get that 1-inch square stock through there, so all I did was loosen up my spare tire and actually slid it forward. It's got a little lip right here that little brace comes down and will actually push up against this tire. So I just slid it forward. That way I can get this square stock going all the way across, and it's not going to interfere with my hitch whatsoever. I was thinking about building something to where it'll come off right here and bolt on or weld on a bracket to actually make it work right here, like on the bottom through here somewhere, but I just didn't like it, and I just didn't want to have to really do a lot of bolting and unbolting to get it off, because if I'm not using this, if I'm not pulling something, I want to go ahead and take it off on the bed of my truck. That way it doesn't you know, give a lot more wind resistance and cut down on my fuel mileage. So let me get the camera set up here, and I'll show you how long it takes to hook up. All right, everybody, so I had to run over and help my neighbor. He was installing a refrigerator, couldn't hook up the freezer line to the ice maker, so did that. Now my other neighbor's mowing grass, so just make do. So I'm gonna slide underneath here, I'm gonna hook this up, and I'm gonna show you how I do it and how quick it is, and then I'll take you underneath and show you exactly what's going on. All I'm doing now is just turning the turnbuckles and just tighten it up to the bottom side of that reese hitch. And that's it right there, guys. Matter of a couple of minutes and it's on there. It's just that simple. And let me take you underneath and I'll show you exactly what's going on. But as you can see, that comes out to the very outside edge of my tire. That's where that 2x4 is going to really be in handy. That way you can measure it and cut it, that 1-inch steel tube, into exactly what the measurement that you need. And so let me take you underneath. This right here is going to be the side view of it. And slide underneath here. Hopefully this camera will pick it up. What's going on? So this is where it butts up to the bottom of your reese hitch, and it's that way on both sides. That way when you turn your turnbuckle here and get it nice and tight, it sucks up against here. And I'll tell you what, guys, I mean, it is super tight. Then this right here is going to be your little adjuster nut right here. This is what actually goes and onto that eye bolt that's mounted to the bottom of the bed. And we'll get that tight. So that's all snug. This is snug. Guys, there's no way this is going to come off of there, but it really does look good and fits good too. I mean, it's solid. It is. And it sits about, I've got it sitting right at 4.5 to 5 inches off the ground all the way across. And I've already tested it going down the highway, and it's really good. It doesn't move any, but man, it's very solid. And what I like is you don't have to mess with this hitch area at all. You can just hook it on, and then you can actually, what's nice is once you actually put it on, you can reach right up in here with your hand You actually turn that turnbuckle and loosen it and get to that other one, and you can take it off quicker than you can put it on, and it's just that simple. So thought I'd bring you guys along and kind of show you how you can build yourself a rock guard for less than $100. And so not too bad, guys. Now let me show you this auxiliary fuel tank that I put in the bed of my truck. All right, if you guys see some little white things floating around, it's not snow. It's actually my neighbor's burning a big brush pile and it's ashes coming over this way. So this right here is a 50-gallon fuel tank that I got from a medium duty salvage yard, and it come with the brackets, and I had to loosen the brackets up and slide them over just to kind of help space it out a little bit better. And it is meets the federal highway MCA, whatever it is. It's a federally approved fuel tank. All right, now it costs a little bit more than a tank that you can get actually like Tractor Supply, Road King, Menards, Lowe's, whatever, or even on Facebook. And the reason is because it's a DOT approved fuel tank. The ones that you get at Tractor Supply and Menards, they're a nice steel tank, but they are not DOT approved, okay? So if you need a DOT approved fuel tank, don't get one of them, even though they're cheaper. You can get an aluminum DOT approved fuel tank, but man, are they expensive. A 50-gallon fuel tank is going to run you around $1,500, guys. And I just didn't want to pay $1,500 for a fuel tank at all. So go find you a salvage yard, a medium duty salvage yard somewhere, truck salvage yard, and see if they got any tanks like this. I was looking at a round one and or a square one. All right, guys, so hopefully you can hear. So anyhow, what I did is I've got it bolted down to the bed and also up here at the front of the truck. And you can hook up the fuel supply any way you want to. It's up to you. I actually went to the bottom. There's a drain plug on the bottom. That's where I actually tapped into this fuel tank yet. And there's also a couple, actually the supply and return was basically right in the middle of the tank, about halfway up the tank. I went ahead and pulled those fittings out and just put a couple plugs in there to seal that, because this is going to be a gravity flow to my fuel tank on my truck. So I tapped in, and basically this is a air compressor valve. If you guys, I was looking for a really small valve. I was in the plumbing section, couldn't find one. Go to a place where you can actually get a lot of fittings for an air compressor, and they've got these nice little brass valves. And so I picked one of these up, and this is a 3/8 fuel line that I've got going to that, along with some heavy duty clamps. I went ahead and took, instead of the regular hose clamps, I put some heavy duty clamps on there. Then that way it's a little bit stronger. Now, what did I use to actually slide the hose on? Guys, these are regular quick connects for your airlines, for like your impacts and impact ratchets and everything, any type of air gun that you're going to use. Just grab the fittings, because they screw right into here, and then those fittings will actually slide right up into your hoses here, and it makes a good connection there. So let me show you this one. All right, so this is what I used. I used these. I bought these because this little bit longer shank right here, and there's just less gap compared to this one here. You still have a nice little fitting area here, but you just have the skinny part. So I opted to go with this one here and get the one with the little bit bigger hole. And they do make different size diameter, inside diameter holes. Just make sure you get the big ones. That way you can allow more of the fuel to actually go into your main tank. All right, this right here was the fuel sending unit that actually went up to your fuel gauge in your dash. This right here, guys, is the vent for the tank, and it has a nylon line that actually runs up to that, but all I did was put a 3/8 fuel line. I just slid it up on there just to protect it, and then also I brought it all the way down and then run it through the drain hole of the bed. And then that way, in case for some reason it does splash out of here for some reason, it will go ahead and go down and underneath the truck and not inside the truck. This is the only place where I had to drill into the bed, and I just picked another low spot to where water likes to settle, especially right here. And I did put some anti-chafing gear, some of that wire loom. I did wrap right here on the outside edge of this hole and then slid my 3/8 fuel line down through there. So let me take you underneath the truck and show you what I did. So this has been the fitting that I used from there on that filler neck. Of course, it doesn't have the Teflon tape on there, of course, but I did take it to a wire wheel and clean this up really good. Got all this factory sealant off of the threads. That way when I brazed this in here, it was nice and clean all the way through here. And I did take a cutoff wheel and cut off about half of these threads. That way I didn't have this whole thing sticking inside my filler neck. I didn't know if I was going to slow down the fuel if I was just filling it from the regular fuel cap itself. So cut half of those threads off and then slid it in and brazed it up, and worked out really good.
Okay guys, I hope you can hear me, but I'll tell you what a day to shoot a video. Got one neighbor mowing the grass, the other guy weed eating. It's just crazy. All right, so anyhow, this is why I brought it through the bed, and I do have just a universal fuel filter on here with some of those heavy duty clamps. Now, this is where it gets a little difficult. Now, you can buy an aftermarket kit that actually cuts this pipe, or you can put it over here. It's about, they usually run from about 40 to 55 bucks. And what that does is it allows you to tap into the filler neck. Now, what you got to do is take this clamp loose, and then up here on the inside of your fuel filler cap, you got 3 screws that actually come loose, and you got to get this out of here. And these right here can be difficult to get out of here, but you got to slide a screwdriver up in there. Be careful not to rip the hose, and kind of work it all the way around, and then finally you can get this out. So instead of spending the 50 bucks on trying to buy that kit, what I did was I took the regular air chuck fitting, what I just showed you, and I drilled a hole with a step drill bit inside this pipe. And I was going to weld it all the way around that, but this pipe is so thin. I mean, it's a paper thin pipe. What I did was I drilled that hole with that step drill bit so that I don't go any bigger than that male air quick connect fitting. All right. So then I slid the threaded end of it inside this pipe, and then I just brazed it. I took a brazing rod and my oxygen acetylene torch and actually brazed it in there. I've got a welder. I was going to tack weld it in there, but this pipe is so thin I was afraid I was going to actually burn that right through this pipe and make a bigger hole, so I didn't want to take that chance. So I just brazed it, and this fitting goes in just about like this. You don't really want to do from the bottom this way. That way whatever flows through this hose will actually drop out and actually go down the filler pipe here into your tank. Now, with that valve, I've already opened it up while I was driving, and my gas gauge was actually going up as I was driving down the highway. That way I can actually leave that valve open if I want to, and that way my main fuel tank on my truck stays full all the time. Now, once the fuel gauge starts going down, then of course you know that the auxiliary tank in the bed is dry because it's all drained out and into here. Now, I took the filler cap off while this is flowing, and you can see it. I put it up here so that I can open up that cap and actually see the fuel dumping into the filler neck. I wanted to make sure that I could see it and know that I was getting fuel in case for some reason this filter wasn't, was getting plugged up, or I had a plug somewhere up the line. So that worked out really well, and I went ahead and I watched this fuel with this valve open underneath the tank. I left this cap off and actually seen the fuel come all the way up to the top here, and then I screwed the cap on nice and tight. And I was also just checking for leaks, make sure it didn't have any leaks in this area, especially where I took these hose fittings loose and soldered this piece in there. So that is pretty much what I've done down here.
Just to let you guys know, the fuel tanks are expensive. It just depends on where you get it at. I think I paid everything like $450 for this. I know it's a lot of money, but it's a nice tank, and the auxiliary tanks that I've seen go all the way across the bed for 50 gallons. Now, the problem with that is this is a short bed pickup truck, so I lose room over this area. I should still have enough room to put a fifth wheel in here if I need to, but what's nice is I got room to actually store some stuff over in each corner. And also for this rock guard, when I take it off, it'll go all the way up in this corner here, and I don't have to worry about it propping it up on something or on the fuel tank going down the highway. It'll sit right through here all the way down through there. So that worked out really well. So really didn't have any more issues with that, except I just gained a little bit more for some supplies or something if I need to slide it all the way up in there, like some 2x4s or lumber or whatever the case might be. So anyhow, guys, this right here, man, is just going to be a auxiliary fuel tank install along with that rock guard, and I think it turned out really well. So check out the Jeep Man King channel, guys, because we got a lot more stuff coming, and a lot more videos. So everything's gonna be down in the description, minus the fuel tank. Thanks for checking out the Jeep Man King channel, and God bless you all. And please put down in the comments if you got some suggestions, because let me tell you, this really does help out other people watching the channel, especially if you've got an old truck like I do, and you're just kind of bringing it back to life again. And not too bad, but put down some of your ideas. Maybe I'll learn something from you, and somebody else may too. So God bless y'all. We'll see you soon on the Jeep Man King channel.